My upload tonight is with regard to the same topics, basically the same basic issues and premises of hate crime and human rights abuses and constitutional wrongdoings that occur in society due to professional individuals and politicians not doing their jobs properly. It's very easy to slander a person's name, and in my uploads, throughout all of these uploads, it has become apparent and very evident that there are politicians and professionals not doing their job properly to facilitate and assist a collectively orchestrated vendetta of hate crime and treason. So anyway, this upload is just with regard to slander of character and a peaceful citizen of royal patronage being slandered and not being safeguarded from such individuals in society that have caused very grievous offence to faith and family, and that have also been responsible for very huge amounts of fraud. So I find that really kind of concerning. So these uploads are just really for the interest of young people these days. I'm a teacher, and there's a really good movie that came out in the past about a teacher that had an experience, and I'm not going to discuss it too much, but it's very interesting. And these topics are very interesting also for anyone endeavouring to become a teacher, a humanitarian, a recovery advocate, and basically for the young people's interests. I am hoping that you have the enlightenment and the intelligence to know about good politics and bad politics, right and wrong, and basically civil society principles and justice and injustice, basic simple principles. So this little upload is with regard to politicians and professionals that have not done anything to correct the offences that I have unduly experienced. I don't like being stolen from. I don't like children being harmed. I don't like people talking ill of individuals they have no interaction, communication, or contact with. I find those kind of behaviours very disturbing. So I'm a recovery advocate, and I'm just very curious with regard to the administrative process, the legislative process, the legal process, the logical process of these individuals that decide to turn a blind eye. We won't look at the problem we did or caused or took part in. We won't bother about what we caused this woman, this lovely woman. We don't know her. She's a good person. She did a few great things in society. We won't worry, though, about the injuries and insults we caused her. We'll take her earnings, we'll take her property, we'll take her home, and we'll make her destitute. We won't compensate or repair any of the damages we've caused her, and we'll just make our problems worse that we've caused her and tell more lies. Now, I want to know what young people have to say about that kind of an attitude in an intelligent society. I'm really curious to know what young people think of that kind of political or professional or procedural practice in any circumstance, be it micro or macro. As a humanitarian that has worked at home and abroad, and prior to COVID-19, the work and endeavours that I commenced single-handedly, that culprits of hate crime and treason and identity theft and creative and intellectual theft since 2006, that are still taking credit for work they haven't done. I find it astonishing. I find it, as a recovery advocate, neurotic for individuals to be intruding upon my profession, my purpose, and my participation in legislative developments and humanitarian work at home and abroad, especially that in the past 4 years has bared fruits of great progress, widespread, in a widespread sense. And the politicians of Dáil Éireann, when they sit down at home at night and put the BS of hate crime aside from Tralee County Kerry, they know themselves how this entire fantastic new plan in society became apparent and transpired. There have been positive developments in society that I commenced in 2018, 2017, really commencing 2006, if I'm to speak about with regard to recovery. So when the politicians sit down at night in Dáil Éireann, from Dáil Éireann, and when they recollect the truth of the matter, truth and justice is very important. I hope the young people know how delicate a situation this is, because there's very, very brazen liars in society that not only withhold the hierarchy of needs that every professional teacher, educator, property owner, law-abiding citizen, my hierarchy of needs has been disrespected by ignorance, brazen thick ignorance. A low IQ is damaging my hierarchy of needs. I have helped humanity at home and abroad. So as a recovery advocate and as a humanitarian, as a teacher, I hope young people that are watching these uploads, I hope you're aware there have been mental health professionals that have been very, very negligent, very dangerous slander. Slander is a very dangerous tool in hate crime. Financial theft and fraud is also a very dangerous tool, but worst is a short memory. So those people that have a short memory with regard to progress, development, etc. at home and abroad, while they try to fool themselves of a fallacy, I commiserate with you. And those with a short memory with regard to the laws of remit and Regent's Law of Mrs. Maria McElligott of Ardfert and Kilflynn Living and Social Housing, I would like to remind those stepping over the line and trespassing on boundaries and imposing, I would like to remind them of a few laws with regard to where they are taking from where they have no right to be at all. So the issue of these individuals that have brazenly lied through these circumstances and that have taken credit for work they haven't done, that haven't come clean, they haven't come clean, and they haven't cleaned up their act. So the issue of individuals being of misconduct and negligence against a language teacher. I'm multilingual, I'm bilingual, I love languages. I think in different languages. And I have idiots perverting my human rights, saying I'm speaking in means and manners that they would be absolutely desecrated for such an allegation. So these people have loose tongues. They say what they like. If a person is multilingual, they are able to speak many languages. These people perverting the Human Rights Declaration and the constitution of this country that have damaged the systems themselves of this country by disrespecting establishment and agency and their functions, roles, obligations and duties. These people that have offended my royal patronage and my purpose and profession have damaged society. And they have spoken out of terms where they have no right to speak. So as a recovery advocate, these people goading trouble and scapegoating other poor professionals while not actually fixing the problems they're a part of since 2017. These are very serious matters. So there's a few steps in a process that have not been met or fulfilled. And that's called very dangerous negligence. So the issue of an ombudsman procedure commenced in 2017. And the very fact that I was ever intruded upon as a royal, the very fact that my child and I were imposed upon by 2 guards for no reason, with no paperwork and with no legalities and no fair and just trial, that consequently harmed my son and I. The very fact that that occurrence occurred and was not addressed or resolved or repaired is a very dangerous discrepancy. So the process of ombudsman And these little intruders, these little parasites is how I consider them, parasitic. These little parasites of bad publicity that get in the way of a process are causing further problems to the system of democracy than they have already caused. So the issue of a process, when an ombudsman process commences, regardless of whether the ombudsman want to look at the problem, or regardless of whether the ombudsman choose to repair the problem that has been caused, my ombudsman procedure is still in place. And I'm waiting 3 years. So I wonder what the young people of Ireland have to say about this entire situation, because it's quite dangerous. Because if you damage one person's human right, who's next? And the Constitution is a lot older than some of the politicians in government at the moment. And I'm sure the founding fathers of the Constitution of this country are a little bit displeased. So this entire situation is for the interest of the young people. I'm just going to dialogue every day because there's loose lips that are sinking ships and messing up systems and causing disharmony in society and just walking into boundaries and parameters where they have no right to be. It's very serious when financial fraud or property theft of any sort, creative, intellectual or any of the sort occurs. But worst of all, it's awfully dangerous when an innocent child is harmed. So my innocent son is still a missing person. And to cut a long story short, there's an ombudsman procedure yet to be fulfilled. So civil proceedings of those of slander and false reporting and wrongdoing are being brought to the attention of the European Court of Human Rights and the United Nations with regard to their societal and judicial obstacles, and with regard to their very extensive problem making since 2006 that I'm still experiencing and recovering from successfully.